Chapter 41 Who is the Chairman? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the initial shock wore off, the man in sunglasses and the waitress both looked sour, like they'd bitten into a wormy apple. The man was even trembling a little. Compared to his father's connections and Tian's group, he was way out of his league. Taking in everyone's expressions, Yang Ling said coolly, "Mr. Zhang, I heard your family owns this place. Don't you guys believe in first come, first served? Or do you only cater to certain customers?" He gave the waitress a knowing smirk. Zhang Chuanxia's heart was pounding. Even though she knew Yang Ling wouldn't hurt her, she was still scared. Taking a deep breath to compose herself, she looked at the waitress and said flatly, "You're fired." "What?" The waitress went pale. On the verge of tears, she grabbed Yang Ling's sleeve like it was a lifeline. "Mr. Yang, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have been such a snob. Please, I'm begging you, don't let me get fired. It's hard to find a job these days. Please don't hold it against me. I'll do anything. I'll treat you to dinner tonight to apologize." Yang Ling frowned. The waitress looked like she was about to burst into tears. She was practically offering herself up as compensation. This job must really mean a lot to her. Sighing, Yang Ling said, "I'm not going to preach to you. As for dinner, I appreciate the thought, but you're not my employee. It's not my place to decide whether you get fired or not." He turned to Zhang Chuanxia. "Doesn't a company as big as yours have HR policies?" "Mr. Zhang, firing someone on the spot like that seems a little rash, don't you think?" Zhang Chuanxia was actually a shrewd businesswoman. After calming down, she realized that her employee and this arrogant rich kid must have provoked Yang Ling and gotten what they deserved. But realizing it now didn't help. In her eyes, Yang Ling was someone even her husband feared. She was terrified of upsetting him. Nodding quickly, she said, "Xiao Yang, you're right. I'll handle this." Everyone's jaw dropped. You'd think Yang Ling was the chairman of the board. The waitress sighed in relief and looked at Yang Ling with gratitude. Ding! You have fulfilled the waitress's wish to not be fired. Wish value +1. Current progress, November 10th. Point 1 down, 1 to go. Yang Ling stared at the man in sunglasses, saying nothing. Immediately, everyone's attention shifted to the formerly arrogant rich kid. His jaw was clenched, and he looked miserable, looking at Zhang Chuanxia, then at his confused girlfriend, and finally at Yang Ling's knowing look. He realized that if he didn't grovel, he was toast. Zhang Chuanxia could ruin his father in a heartbeat. Swallowing his pride, the man in sunglasses nearly buckled, ready to beg, but Yang Ling grabbed him before he could hit the ground, lifting him like a sack of potatoes. Yang Ling ripped off his sunglasses and tossed them aside. "Don't debase yourself like that. Can you even look people in the eye after you kneel?" He threw the man away like trash and sneered, "Get out of here, both of you, and don't let me see your faces again." The man in sunglasses stammered an apology and ran off with his girlfriend. Chapter 42 Are You Really Getting Old? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding! You fulfilled the sunglass guy's wish. He didn't want to kneel. Wish value +1. Current progress, December 10th. Zhang Chuanxia studied the calm young man in front of her, intrigued. Whether he was sticking up for the waitress or seemingly helping the man in sunglasses, he'd actually prevented the kneeling. She was seeing a whole new side of Yang Ling. And last night, she'd stopped her husband from breaking his son's leg just in the nick of time. Yang Ling hadn't gone for the kill, but shown restraint. Maybe he wasn't so scary after all. The fear faded, replaced by a desire to understand him better. Yang Ling, meanwhile, couldn't care less about her thoughts. He just said to the still-stunned waitress, "What are you waiting for? Let's see the apartment." "Oh. Right away." Energized, the waitress didn't dare breathe a word about the 500,000 yuan. She promised to get it sorted out ASAP. "Sir, please wait a moment. Someone will show you the place shortly." Before Yang Ling could reply, Zhang Chuanxia piped up, "Want a ride? I can drive you." "Huh?" Yang Ling frowned, surprised. One minute she was terrified, the next she wanted to chauffeur him around. Women were impossible to figure out. Even with his deduction skills, he couldn't guess what she was up to. Still, he had his own agenda. He took the key from the waitress, then gave Zhang Chuanxia a faint smile. "I've got legs. No need to trouble you, Mrs. Zhang." Without waiting for a response, he sauntered out of the lobby. Yang Ling had a way of charming women. That smile sent hearts fluttering, from Zhang Chuanxia to the waitress and every other woman in the lobby. Zhang Chuanxia stared after Yang Ling, her heart doing a little dance mixed with a strange sense of unease. She'd offered him a ride, the words had surprised her, but what surprised her even more was that Yang Ling had refused, barely even looking at her. It left her with a weird feeling. Am I really getting old? Outside, Yang Ling glanced back at the real estate office, a slight smirk playing on his lips. He knew this place belonged to the Tian Group. He was renting here on purpose. He wanted to make sure Tian Meiji knew where he lived, saving her the trouble of hunting him down for revenge. His family was his weakness. Once he was making real money, he planned to buy a high-end, secure villa so they could all relax. As he walked, Yang Ling thought, "System, grant me a wish, I want super speed." Ding! Wish granted. You've acquired the skill, Lingbo Weibu. Lingbo Weibu, activating this skill boosts movement speed by 0% and increases dodge chance by 100%. Note, skill duration depends on the host's stamina. The skill deactivates upon exhaustion. Yang Ling was thrilled. He'd always wanted this kind of power for both escape and rescue, but the 100% increase in dodge chance was a game changer. If he wanted to make a name for himself, he'd inevitably make enemies. Maybe someone would try to shoot him. The ability to dodge bullets was invaluable. After checking with the system, he learned that dodge chance was agility-based. Chapter 43: The Little Beauty Who Ran Away from Home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After thinking for a moment, Yang Ling did some quick calculations. He realized that his current agility score of 20 wasn't nearly enough to pull off the Lingbo steps effectively. To dodge bullets at close range, he'd need at least 40. And if he ran into a squad with submachine guns? Forget about it, he'd need 60, minimum. Agility wasn't everything, though. He'd also need lightning-fast reflexes and eagle eyes. If he really wanted to protect himself, he had a long way to go. He strolled over to Tianxin Garden, and the security guard waved him through after seeing his key. Whatever the house was like, the property management seemed top-notch. He found the apartment he was renting, unlocked the door, and stepped inside. It was nicely furnished, with a well-equipped living room, kitchen, and bathroom, plus a master bedroom and a guest room. He nodded, pleased. Pushing open the master bedroom door, he was greeted by a sight that stopped him in his tracks. A naked woman lay sprawled on the bed. His first thought, murder scene. But then he heard a faint snore, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Then he frowned. What was a woman doing sleeping in his apartment? He wondered if he had the wrong place, so he went back out to double-check the apartment number. Nope, he was at the right place. After hesitating for a moment, he decided to wake her up and get some answers. Smack, star, the sound echoed in the room, and Chu Xin, startled awake, shot up in bed like a frightened rabbit. She saw a strange but handsome guy staring at her, and her instincts kicked in. She yanked the covers up to her chin and opened her mouth to scream, but he was too quick for her. He lunged forward and clapped a hand over her mouth, silencing her muffled cries. Tears streamed down Chu Xin's face. Was she about to lose her virginity, which she had been protecting for 20 years? Yang Ling looked at the tearful girl, both exasperated and amused. She must think he's some kind of creep. Hey! Yang Ling said, annoyed. I'm the new tenant. I'll let you go, but are you even aware of your current situation? Hearing that, Chu Xin sagged with relief, then nodded frantically. Yang Ling took his hand away. He glanced at the girl, who was still clutching the blanket, and said with a smirk, I've already seen everything. There's not much to hide. What did you say? Chu Xin, hearing Yang Ling's jab at her small chest, forgot all about being scared. She bared her tiny fangs and snapped, don't you know it's rude to say things like that? Believe it or not, I'll sue you for indecent exposure. Yang Ling laughed. If you sue me for indecent exposure, I'll sue you for trespassing. Now, tell me, why are you here? Seeing her attempt to play the victim fail, Chu Xin adopted a pitiful expression. I ran away from home. He had to admit, she was already beautiful, and with that sad, helpless look, it would be hard for anyone to kick her out. Yang Ling stared for a second, then said, amused, ran away from home? Miss, is that the best you could come up with? It's true. Then, Chu Xin launched into the story of why she ran away from home. Basically, her parents wanted to move to Canada, but she didn't. So she left a note and secretly flew back from Canada. The apartment used to belong to her family, but they sold it to an agency for cheap so they could immigrate. She didn't bring much money back with her to China, and she quickly ran out. If you like the God-level wish system, all-domain domination, please bookmark it. NovelMTL.com. The God-level wish system, all-domain domination has the fastest update speed. Dear, this chapter is over. I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 44 Shared Beauty. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Remember for a sec, so, long story short, she was homeless, the place was empty, and she happened to have a key. Figured she could crash here unnoticed. The security guards recognized her, so they didn't give her any trouble. She'd only been back for about a week, so Jia hadn't caught on. Yang Ling frowned. He's got sharp deduction skills, and everything she said checked out. He glanced at her ID and passport tossed on the nightstand and couldn't help but believe her, but even if she's pretty and down on her luck, why would she let someone else live here? Chu Xin seemed to read his mind. I'm not just freeloading, she said, sounding a little hurt. I'll pay rent as soon as I start making money. Making money? Yang Ling asked, curious, how are you gonna make money sleeping all day? She proudly pointed at the computer. I'm gonna be a streamer. I'm like, a League of Legends god. I can carry you to the top ranks. Oh, really? Yang Ling smirked. He was no slouch at gaming himself. Did he really need a carry? But she looked so pitiful. Kicking her out would feel low. Still, he didn't really want a roommate, especially since he had his secrets. Just as he was wrestling with the situation, a system notification popped into his head. Ding. Energy crystal detected. Yang Ling was taken aback. Ding. The system requires energy to upgrade. Energy crystals provide the necessary juice. Each energy crystal block you turn in gets you a max level skill. Sweet. Yang Ling was stoked. Where is it? Hanging around Chu Xin's neck. Yang Ling looked up. Sure enough, she was wearing a jade pendant. That had to be it. The promise of a new skill was too tempting. Yang Ling smiled. Okay, maybe I'll let you stay, but... Seeing Yang Ling's gaze fixed on her chest, Chu Xin instinctively covered herself. Don't even think about it. She squeaked. Yang Ling laughed. What are you thinking? I want that jade pendant you're wearing. The jade pendant? Chu Xin relaxed slightly, looking down at it. I just bought this a while back. It was only a few bucks. It's not worth anything. Why do you want it? Yang Ling just shrugged. Don't worry about it. Hand over the pendant, or you're out. Your call. You drive a hard bargain. Chu Xin grinned, unclasped the pendant, and handed it over. Alright, now get out. I'm going to sleep. Yang Ling happily took the jade pendant and handed it over to the system. Ding. Energy crystal block received. Acquiring a special skill. Please wait. Ding. Skill acquired, Instrument Mastery. Instrument Mastery, you can shred on any musical instrument you pick up. Instrument Mastery, that while it wasn't a combat skill, being able to play any instrument was pretty cool. You never know when it might come in handy. He shook off his thoughts and turned to ask Chu Xin to move to the guest room, but she was already out cold, sound asleep on the bed. She looked exhausted. He chuckled softly. No big deal. The guest room was the same size anyway. Ding! You have fulfilled Chu Xin's wish. Wish fulfillment points +1. Current progress, January 10th. If you like the God-level wish system all-domain domination, please collect it. God-level wish system all-domain domination 8 Kungshu.com has the fastest update speed. Dear, this chapter is over, I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 45 I'm willing to sit with your girlfriend. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This girl's got some nerve, sleeping like that in front of a guy she just met. Doesn't seem too worried about anything, Yang Ling chuckled, glancing at the time. Almost 5. After a moment's thought, he headed out, time to do some shopping. Now that he had money, he didn't need to live like a pauper. New place, new stuff. He'd replace anything that needed replacing. First stop, the electronics market. He picked out a decent computer for about 10 grand, top of the line, and arranged for them to deliver it. Next, the supermarket for groceries, rice, stuff to cook with, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't like he was dying to be a chef, but once you knew how to cook a good meal, why settle for less? By the time he got back, it was already dark, and the computer was waiting. He nodded to the delivery guy, unlocked the door, and lugged the groceries inside. Before he could even catch his breath, a voice screeched from the other room, "Oh man, this Yasuo is getting wrecked." No surprise, the streamer was live. Yang Ling just sighed and started getting dinner ready. Inside, Chu Xin was chatting with her viewers. She'd been streaming for a week, and her looks, skills, and bubbly personality had already earned her a solid fanbase. Her stream was pulling in around 100,000 viewers, and she'd even signed a rookie deal with the platform. Suddenly, a delicious aroma filled the room. Chu Xin wiggled her nose like a kitten and giggled, "Something smells amazing. Sounds like someone's got dinner going. Alright, everyone, gotta eat. I'll be back on at 9, bringing you the Han double Q, hehe." Ignoring the comments flooding the chat, she ended the stream. The second she opened the door, her eyes landed on the soup on the table and she practically floated over. Yes. No ramen tonight. Yang Ling gave her a playful glare, but he had to admit, he was surprised. She seemed like a casual girl before, a little rough around the edges. But now, in a dress and light makeup, Chu Xin was a stone-cold fox. Chu Xin must have seen the look on his face, because she giggled, "How's it going? Am I hot stuff? You're lucky to be roommates with a babe like me." Yang Ling smiled. Chu Xin, meanwhile, piled her bowl high with rice and started demolishing it. Her stomach had been growling for hours, and after one bite, she felt like she was in heaven. You made this? Oh my god, this is incredible. Little bro, if you cook for me every day, I'd totally be your girlfriend. Ding! You have fulfilled Chu Xin's wish, to eat well. Wish value +1. Current progress, April 10th. Yang Ling rolled his eyes, filled his own bowl, and retorted, "Don't be such a pig. Just call me Yang Ling from now on." Yang Ling. Chu Xin mumbled around a mouthful of braised pork, her eyes sparkling with pure bliss. A few minutes later, the streamer leaned back on the sofa, watching Yang Ling clean up. "Little Yang, who knew you were such a hidden talent? You're easy on the eyes, and your cooking is out of this world. Don't worry, I'm not gonna let you work for free. I'll shower you with diamonds on my stream, so you'll at least have bragging rights, deal?" Chapter 46 Double Row encounters professional players. You are listening at novelfull.audio. League of Legends is huge. Reaching a high rank isn't just about bragging rights, you can actually make money by going pro or streaming. Plus, it's cool to duo queue with a cute girl. Yang Ling smiled. "You're really that good, huh?" Chu Xin puffed out her chest. "I'm a canyon master. I'm the best female ADC, period." Yang Ling's ears perked up. "Top of the canyon? Does that mean you run into pros a lot?" "Totally," Chu Xin giggled. "Hurry up and install the game. I already told my viewers I'd be carrying a noob tonight." Yang Ling smiled. He knew games inside and out. It'd be a waste not to turn that into cash, an idea sparked. He nodded. Alright, I've got a high-ranked account too. Let's play a few. After setting up the computer, downloading the game, and all that, it was 9 o'clock on the dot. Ding! You fulfilled Chu Xin's wish for a duo queue. Wish value +1. Current progress, May 10th. He plugged in his mic and joined Chu Xin's channel. After a quick sound check, he hopped onto her stream, not a huge following, but the chat was pretty active. Turns out, Chu Xin had already started the stream during the mic test, and the chat was already blowing up about him. This guy's voice is hot. Does he have a stream? Hot voice, but definitely a noob. No, Enin's gonna get stolen. Hope she runs into a pro and this pretty boy gets wrecked. All kinds of messages were flying, but most of the viewers were guys simping over Enin, and they were clearly not fans of him. If they knew he was in the same house as their precious streamer, the chat would explode. He locked in, and then someone dropped a bomb in chat. The enemy bot lane was a pro duo. Chu Xin freaked out and did a double take. We're doomed. It's Quan Lang and Agwa's Smurf account. I brought a rookie to bot lane. This is gonna be rough. The chat went wild, spamming GG and FF at 15. Most people were practically drooling at the thought of Yang Ling getting stumped. Just then, the system chimed in. Ding! Game proficiency skill activated. He smirked. Running into pros on his first game was a surprise. The game loaded. The pros seemed to be taking it easy, picking off meta champs like Prince and Pantheon, but pros are pros for a reason, and even on weird picks, they were still a force to be reckoned with. Chu Xin locked in Caitlyn, while Yang Ling went with a Kog'Maw support. The stream viewers lost it. Kog'Maw support. He'd run out of mana after a couple of Qs, and his peel was trash. Sure enough, the first level went okay, but as soon as the enemy prince hit level 2, things went downhill fast. If you like the God level wish system all domain domination, please collect it. God level wish system all domain domination 8 Kungshu.com has the fastest update speed. Dear, this chapter is over. I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 47 Anti-kill. Luck or strength. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Anyone who's played League knows Pantheon's shield stuns, and Prince is gonna EQ to knock you up. This aggressive duo crossed the line right away, shoving Yang Ling out of the XP zone. Just then, Yang Ling heard his system chime in. Ding, deduction proficiency activated. His eyes sharpened. He was using this skill to calculate the enemy duo's position and Chu Xin's movements, but that's not how it looked to everyone else. What's this noob doing? Is this some new AFK strat? He's not even trying to harass them. At least go up and force a trade so the ADC can farm. What a scrub, embarrassing himself trying to carry his e-girl, typical gold ELO. The chat was roasting Yang Ling, and even though Chu Xin kept interacting with the audience like normal, she was secretly cringing. She'd planned to thank Yang Ling by giving him a boost in points, plus, carrying a newbie would show off her skills, right? But just a few minutes in, they were getting pushed under the tower. The stream was going downhill fast. She was probably gonna lose viewers tonight. Things were stagnant, and the cannon minion was about to die. Chu Xin's Caitlyn went for the last hit, and the enemies seemed a little less aggressive than before, but as she started her attack animation, Pantheon flashed forward. It was obviously bait. Chu Xin thought, this is bad, because she was right in range of Prince's EQ. But the big bug moved faster. He flashed to Pantheon, and his Q skill went out almost at the same time, hitting Prince in mid-air as he EQ'd. Early game, without his full combo or ULT, Prince wasn't even a super minion. Yang Ling ignited Pantheon. In a split second, the situation had flipped. Chu Xin finally reacted, ed to create distance, and unloaded on Pantheon. Pantheon was stuck, couldn't escape, and went down after chucking another Q, leaving the bug with a sliver of health. Prince, seeing how things were going, booked it. A kill. The big bug pulled off an insane play and straight up killed a pro. Chu Xin screamed, stoked. After a second of silence, the chat filled with 6,666s, but plenty of people thought the noob had just gotten lucky. No way he had the reaction time and precision for that play. Over at the PT training base, the two young players exchanged shocked glances. Their coach happened to be nearby. Seeing their faces, he came over to watch. Was that just luck? Curly Lang frowned. Maybe. I'll try him again online. And next time, he'd shut up the chat's haters for good, because Yang Ling started calling out Prince's ganks. Be careful last hitting that minion, Prince is gonna EQ you. Sure enough, as Caitlyn fired, Prince initiated his combo, but Chu Xin had already dipped as the flag planted, but still, they were up against a pro, and under the pressure of the EQ combo, Prince flashed. EQ flash directly knocked up Caitlyn. Chapter 48. Give me all his information in 3 minutes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Too bad there's no replay. That Pantheon who tried to follow up just got squashed by that bug. Those level 6 insects pack a serious punch, and since Pantheon wasn't at full health, he went down hard. The whole sequence was so smooth, like it was all planned out perfectly. The timing was just insane. Yang Ling's game sense gives him crazy skills. He knows the XP, attack damage, and all the stats for every unit after death. He's got hero damage totally figured out. And his deduction skills let him predict the perfect next move. The prince used EQ flash to level up to 6 just before he hit by the attack, otherwise, he would have been able to ult and counterattack. The prince got messed up, died, and went back to base. The chat exploded, Chu Xin jumped, and even the bot lane and the coach were shocked. That kind of calculation and reaction time is terrifying. Chu Xin yelled, "Ling, you're a beast." Beast, total beast mode. That the chat was just a wall of 666s. This move flushed out all the lurkers. A small stream of 100,000 viewers managed to fill the entire screen with messages. Holy crap, what a play. Who was just saying Ling was embarrassing her? Step up. Where's that hater from before? Why aren't they talking now? That play completely blew everyone away. Win or lose, everyone has to admit, that play was crazy good. No cap. Back at the PT club house, the coach asked the team leader, "Do we know anything about this guy?" The team leader shook his head, and the club owner, who had appeared behind them, jumped in and said, "Agua, you think this guy just got lucky, or is he really that good?" Agua, one of the best support players in the country, has a good eye for talent. He gave a wry smile. "Boss, this isn't just one fluke. You really think he's just lucky?" The boss paused, then turned to the team leader and said flatly, "Minute, I want everything you can find on this guy. Now." After a play that ridiculous, the teammates in the game were spamming Yang Ling with thumbs up emojis, and the jungler even offered to let him leech some jungle farm. It's quite an achievement when you make diamond-ranked players want to carry you as support. Yang Ling kept his cool, he knew this was coming. But Chu Xin was watching the viewer count climb higher and higher, a huge smile spreading across her face. "Ling, you're a natural. I've decided, I'm carrying you to the top every day from now on. We're going pro." Ding, you have fulfilled Chu Xin's wish, wishing value +1, current progress, June 10th. Chu Xin was never shy, so the chat was full of question marks, but Yang Ling grinned and said, "Since when are you my sister? Don't flatter yourself so much." His voice was warm and friendly, his tone casual with a hint of teasing, and a lot of the female viewers in the chat immediately fell for him. "OMG, Ling, you should stream. I'm sending you a rocket." "Ling, do you have a girlfriend?" "Doesn't matter, you do now." The chat was going nuts, and even the haters had conveniently switched sides and were now gushing with praise. GIFs were flooding Chu Xin's stream, and there was even a new fan with the ID, Ling's girl, who immediately dropped 2 rockets. Looks like Yang Ling just got his first diehard fan. Chapter 49. Invitation from the Professional Club. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, so there wasn't really any suspense in this game. They just completely crushed the bot lane with Pantheon, then Yang Ling took Big Bug top to get things rolling, and the game was pretty much over after they secured the Rift Herald. After that match, Chu Xin's live stream shot up to 200,000 viewers, a total doubling. Ding! You have fulfilled Chu Xin's wish to increase her live stream popularity. Wish value +1. Current progress, July 10th. Chu Xin was beaming. She insisted Yang Ling queue up for another round. The chat was blowing up, begging Yang Ling to stay. One whale even promised to drop rockets if he did. Yang Ling already had a plan in mind. He didn't have anything else going on, so why not rank up? Ding! You have fulfilled Chu Xin's wish. Current progress, August 10th. Wish points are just that easy sometimes. Over the next few games, Yang Ling played LeBlanc, Gangplank, and Yasuo, switching between support and solo lanes. With those enhanced skills, it didn't matter if you were diamond ranked or even a pro player, you were gonna get stomped. He racked up over a dozen kills, pulled off insane plays, and made clutch predictions at least 10 times. He left the other team absolutely shell-shocked. The chat was just a constant stream of 666, one right after another. Chu Xin received 8 rockets, 5 of them from that hardcore fan of Yang Ling's. The whole stream was going wild, and everyone kept asking Yang Ling to show his face or do something special for the rockets. Finally, Yang Ling caved into the pressure. He promised to do a live stream with Chu Xin after the college entrance exams, but it wouldn't be a daily thing and the timing would be random. Chu Xin was thrilled. Thanks to Yang Ling, her stream's popularity was exploding, and she made at least 50,000 renminbi in gifts that night. And Yang Ling also scored some valuable wish points. Current progress, September 10th. He'd be able to make another wish soon. After playing a few more games, Yang Ling felt a little lightheaded, probably from overusing his skills. After talking to Chu Xin, he took a shower and crashed. He slept like a log that night. The next morning, even though Yang Ling was still asleep, he picked up on the sound of footsteps in the room. He snapped awake, and when he saw it was Chu Xin, he sighed in relief. Then he said, annoyed, "Don't you know it's rude to just barge into someone's room?" Chu Xin ignored him, looking excited. "Forget about that. Ling, your chance is here. Managers from PT and CMG clubs contacted me first thing this morning. They saw you play yesterday and want you to try out." Yang Ling was a little surprised, then a smile crept across his face. His live stream with Chu Xin last night wasn't just a random thing, it was intentional. He didn't necessarily want to go pro, but he did want to be a master of the game and make some cash. He just smiled and said, "Tell those managers I don't want any distractions before the college entrance exams. Tell them to wait until after my exams, okay?" Chu Xin knew Yang Ling was taking the college entrance exams. She nodded, then suddenly said, "Oh yeah, your fangirl sent you 6 rockets yesterday. I'll transfer the money to your account as soon as it clears." Yang Ling looked at the girl and thought to himself, a gentleman loves money, but in the right way. The fact that she was bringing this up unprompted said a lot about her character. Yang Ling smiled. "Aren't you only getting paid for your gifts every 6 months or so? You just started streaming. Let's talk about this later." Chapter 50, Piloting is proficient, even an aircraft carrier can drive. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He paused, like he'd just remembered something. "Hey, you got any cash on you?" he asked, all innocent curiosity. Chu Xin's cheeks went red. She looked down and shook her head, barely a whisper. Yang Ling smiled, then whipped out his phone and Venmo'd her 10,000 yuan. "Here, consider it a loan. You gotta pay me back, though." Chu Xin's jaw dropped. She stared at Yang Ling, eyes glistening, speechless for a moment. Yang Ling grinned. "What, you want me to get dressed for you?" "Huh?" Chu Xin snapped back to reality, her face burning. She mumbled, Who even wants to see you? I'm going to bed." And with that, she spun around and practically bolted through her door. Before she went in, she wiped her eyes and glanced back at Yang Ling's room. After a second, something seemed to click, and a bright smile played on her lips. After breakfast, Yang Ling hit the park, snagging 2 more attribute and wishing points. He pumped both into stamina, bringing his stats to strength, 15. Agility, 20. Stamina, 15. Charm, skills, advanced injury recovery, advanced tai chi, advanced throwing, advanced deduction, advanced musical instruments, advanced gaming, advanced cooking, photographic memory, Lingbo microstep. Then, the system chimed in, ding. Host's wish fulfillment progress is November 10th. Time to make a wish. Yang Ling had a choice. He could boost his combat skills, becoming a bigger badass, or he could pick a practical skill to round himself out. After mulling it over, he straightened up and said, I wish for amazing driving skills. In this day and age, a driver's license is practically mandatory. Heck, some people can drive everything from cars to yachts to airplanes. Yang Ling came from nothing. Buying a car, let alone getting a license, was just a pipe dream. Ding. Wish granted. Host acquires skill, driving proficiency. Driving proficiency, you can operate any vehicle that has ever existed, anywhere on Earth, from ancient times to the present. Ding. You gained 1 charm point. A jolt ran through him, and he realized he wasn't just good at driving cars. He could pilot spaceships, command aircraft carriers, even manage a space station, and he had the skills to back it up. This is insane. He was blown away, but just as he was celebrating, the system piped up again, ding. System detected excessive mental strain. Host is fatigued. Mental power attribute unlocked. See instructions for details. Wait, another new attribute. Yang Ling checked his stats, and sure enough, there it was, mental power, sitting right below stamina. It was at 12 points, higher than average. After reading the explanation, he was surprised, so that's why he felt dizzy after those games yesterday. Gaming and deduction proficiency were draining his mental reserves. This was like mana in a video game. No mana, no skills. Now that mental power was active, any skill requiring brainpower would tap into it. 12 points of mental power could sustain a skill for 4 hours, or 20 minutes per point. Activating 2 skills at once would double the drain, leaving him with only 10 minutes per point, run out of mental power, and he couldn't use those skills. This was a crucial stat.